Show, Nathan, head and shoulder, Nathan.
We're not going to sing it. We're just going to point to it without saying anything. Here we go.
Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head and shoulders, knees and toes.
Knees and toes and eyes and ears and mouth and nose.
Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.
Now this time, we're not going to say head.
Follow, Nathan, you follow.
Shoulders. Here we go.
You follow, Nathan, you follow. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head and shoulders, knees and toes. Nathan, shoulder to na to, no? Mouth and nose. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.